It's the 23rd of the 6th, and it's still 2022, and it's about 10 to 11 at night. And this upload is my third upload today in my documentary with regard to the issue that has been caused by practitioners in Tralee, County Kerry in the southwest of Ireland that have been very disrespectful to their field of medicine and their Hippocratic oath. So there's a little issue arising from doctors' misbehaviour, misconduct, and misinformation, and the malpractice basically that I've tolerated due to doctors in this town that think they are in a position to be manipulating, controlling, exploiting, monetizing, utilizing, false reporting, trespassing, you name it, obstructing, etc. These doctors are relatively young. They're adults. They're middle-aged adults. I'm 41 years of age, and as I said in my second upload today, I'm working 20 years. I'm working longer than 20 years, and I'm a pro. I'm a pro, and I'm very qualified, and I'm being denigrated in a small town in Tralee, County Kerry, due to the height of ignorance and due to the most debased professional standards by so-called professionals that haven't a shred of common sense about their misdemeanors. Now, it's really 1960s, 1970s mentality. It's really caveman kind of mentality with these guilty culprits not able to do their jobs properly. It's like 1960s, 1970s Ireland. It's actually 2022. And I don't know how they can rationalize having instigated or even arranged for any kind of procedure to correct fault or to address misdemeanors or anything of the sort. I'm really surprised that they would go to the trouble of introducing so much red tape, so much bureaucratic change, and not able to actually respect it. Now, it's 2022. The world is supposed to be evolving. I'm an avatar. I'm a royal, etc. I have to keep reminding these guilty culprits, repeat offenders that are brazening it into my privacy and into my proximity that this is a teacher, property owner, married woman, mother, and these guilty culprits have been stepping over the line, and they haven't been able to stick to the basic practices and processes and procedures. And they've lowered this circumstance to the dirtiest level. It's really mucky. So there's a child missing in the midst of all of this scenario, and there's a Department of Justice that is fully aware of the changes that has come around and about as a consequence of 2018, as a consequence of my work. That young ladies in this community decided in 2019 to think they'd renegotiate to balance up, apparently, and get their own way, like they've been doing to spread themselves thin in so many ways since 2006. So it's quite disgusting what's going on, that my work as a humanitarian has instigated health and wealth recovery. And in the meantime, there's young girls parading themselves at a position and jeopardizing their safety and integrity and bodies to disrespect a qualified professional avatar, a social reformer. COVID-19 is a huge turning point, as I mentioned in my uploads earlier on, and it has brought about health and wealth recovery. That means that there has been financial fraud occurring, and there's been dirtying circumstances that have been toxic and disrespectful to healthcare. And in the meantime, there are doctors not able to do their jobs properly in 2022. Now, whoever wants to deny the truth, I have no problem with you digging a hole for yourself with a pit of dirty lies and stories. However you want to build up a fallacy, that's no problem with me. I know that I have worked for the past 20 years in education, and in the past 20 years for reform and for legalization of developments that progress society and people's lives, legislation, and the issue also of recovery advocacy from drug and alcohol substance abuse. That has been my work for 20 years. That's been a goal, and I've reached it in 2018. And I know there's a clique of social fraudsters that are no proper influence on any young person's life, and especially any person coming out of the addiction story or experience. The people that are in my proximity using my name, there is a problem with them comprehending what has happened in this community. I have not condoned anyone to use my name. Now, if the Taoiseach's not able to do his job properly, that means problems, and there have already been problems. Poor young girls putting themselves on the line to negotiate deals regarding social world reform as a consequence of my work. You can't negotiate yourself with a brown paper bag and the legislation that has been introduced worldwide as a consequence of this woman. I'm trying to comprehend the insanity of some of the deranged minds I am confronted with. Doctors not respecting the Hippocratic Oath, that's a problem. The doctors that have insulted my child's health would want to be very much out of proximity by about 25 kilometres legally. Now, if there's doctors that have already trespassed onto my property, thinking stupidly, dare I be cheeky, that they have remit or right, they need to read the Constitution and the legalisation and legislation of circumstances that have been occurring. There are no repeat offenders safe within the proximity of an avatar where they have already been blasphemous, treasonous, and acting against the Constitution of the country. So the individuals that are disrespecting the peace and disrespecting the process are not helping people or privacy. And they're certainly not within protocol. So the people that are trying to play games with COVID-19 developments and being mentally disturbed about it, I think they need to reassess and review and reevaluate, because I'm owed quite a huge debt. And that's only in one respect. The level of disrespect that has been on display has just shown how debased these people are. They're no quality or caliber of character anyway to be showing a good example or setting good example to young people, and they certainly aren't qualified for avatar status that they have arranged in this community against me. They are not qualified to be an avatar. They have not helped with social reform. They have regressed. They are of begrudgery. They are of debased behaviours, and they are not welcome in my proximity. So there's a huge problem if the United Nations is facilitating this mentally deranged vendetta in Tralee, County Kerry, when there's a precious royal heir of a sacred mother, a missing person. Are the United Nations working with reality? Because I'm not a prostitute, and I have worked for 20 years, and my qualifications from the University of Limerick in 2003 are still standing. Now, I've tolerated filth in my marriage. Filth. Any woman married 50 years would not be able to come within that much of me. with what I've tolerated from 7 years of marriage. That's how women's rights are coming onto the forum now. So there's women out there that are throwing themselves at a family for property after disrespecting the beautiful royal heir that I gave birth to, and I, a sacred royal mother. Would the United Nations care to kind of come to terms with the insanity of this circumstance of young women jeopardising themselves since 2019 to renegotiate circumstances to the liking of those that are playing Monopoly in real terms with people's lives and damaging children in the meantime? My little royal heir is very precious, and there are very dangerous consequences to a royal heir from a sacred mother being damaged or disrespected, and that has become evident already since 2017. So the Tusla Child and Family Agency have no remit with me either. They'd want to be very careful about supporting any insanity, repeat behavioural disorders or destructive behavioural disorders that they've already been supporting. So the Department of Justice is aware of the criminal justice change that came about in 2019. The Department of Health are aware of the role of NPHET and the huge COVID changes that have come about in their department. The Taoiseach knows that he doesn't have a position with me. He should know that. And he should know that my O'Regan bloodline won't be exactly appreciative, or the Higgins, or they won't be appreciative of Mr. Micheál Martin insulting my bloodline or my beautiful child or my marriage. So my ancestry is very important to me. And the beauty of it all is that these people have, on an incessant basis, failed to do their jobs. So the beauty of it is that the worse this gets, the worse the outcome be. It's only common sense. Any fool would know this. So the basics of this matter is that I'm tolerating insanity and inhumanity. And there's defamation that's quite disgusting. They've dirtied my name quite severely, and there isn't a shred of honesty or authenticity to it. These people are fraudsters. They're not proper social influencers. That's what they are. They're only social influencers being silly in society as usual. They've no cause. They've no proper authentic agenda. They are not for the recovery of society. They are fraud personified. They deserve no support. And if this woman and my child have to tolerate stupidity, then I hope those supporting stupidity against my beautiful royal heir and I hope you know what, the cause and effect comes into play. You reap the benefits, you reap what you sow. So if you want to be reaping the seeds of stupidity and trespassing on my land, farms and property, then I hope you know what you're sowing and stitching yourself up for. It's very simple. It's common sense. A 7-year-old at the age of reason would be able to put right and wrong at this stage. So basically, doctors would want to mind their own health. You don't have remit with me. And social influencers looking for the fame game. Social influencers really need to back off and go off into India for a trek or somewhere, a retreat. Because as I've said, you're not qualified for avatar status. And as regards the dirty defamation of my good name, I have a very nice name. I love my identity. Those people disrespecting and defaming my name with the filth that's come out of their mouths would want to correct what they've written and said and so on and so forth. So there's a very dangerous issue going on. The government has failed. The Department of Justice and the Department of Health have benefited from my work, and I receive €208 roughly every week. And my 2 farms are being trespassed upon. So it's the same ding-dong in these uploads. It's getting silly that politicians can't do their jobs properly and they haven't a shred of integrity. Have they children? Have you daughters? Put it into context. You know what I mean? And have a moment of reflection for yourselves, because the mentality of these people is that they buy themselves by means of dirty deals. They buy themselves out of a problem in a brown paper bag, no bother. And while the rest of us have to mind our backs, our legs and our arms, with all the bodily integrity damages going on. It's awful that doctors aren't doing their jobs properly and disrespecting the Hippocratic Oath. So they think that they're going to throw money at that situation and this situation and those situations to work themselves onto a new situation where they've been making already bad situations. So I'm really concerned about the mental health of this matter. And the United Nations, you have a declaration to work with. You have received the process that is possible from this person, initiated in 2019. What are you doing? It's 2022. My child is missing, and I don't like people coming in and around me when I'm healing from doctors' boo-boos and when they're suffering from mental instability as well. It's quite unsafe for people's lives. And as I said, any individuals that are praying that shouldn't be in my proximity, you aren't qualified for my light. Do you know what I mean? And Neffet, as well. Neffet. Neffet has had the experience of the benefits of exploitative gains and whatnot. So, what do you think you're doing? Are there people in Tralee, County Kerry thinking they're deciding about me without having done a shred of work and haven't got a shred of qualifications about the circumstance? I'm really concerned. I'm hoping that the fellowship members out there of Sanity and Sobriety, I hope the recovery advocates throughout the world that know my story. I'm in the fellowship since 2006, and I hope the recovery advocates out there are aware of how this is and how I'm fathoming the insanity of these people that have, for the past 15 years, been losing their senses on this in addiction. They've lost them. They had the malaise. They lost themselves in the addiction for 15 years or so. I became a married mother. They sobered up to venture onto a new dangerous path to acquire from my light body. And now they're reformed in the past year, apparently, and they're getting sane and sober, and the same cycle is still happening. And it's for social influencing purposes. It's a fame game. It's pathetic, it's embarrassing, and it's rude. So I hope the authentic members of the fellowship out there are aware that this avatar of the fellowship is being violated, rejected, refused, denigrated, the whole lot, just to satisfy some silly-minded little people that haven't a worthy place in the world at all. They have no calibre of character for humanity. They have failed, they have regressed, and they have begrudgery. Isn't that a sad sign of the times? That an avatar in 2022, after instigating world reform, has such an awful critique of how failed people are. And these are smart, adult, mature, evolved human beings. And they're supposed to be representing the best interests of people. And in the meantime, they're living off my wealth and work, and they think they're deciding about my worth. They think my worth is €208, no less. I wonder, does the Taoiseach have good arithmetic skills? He's in the field of education. Taoiseach, Micheál Martin, how is your arithmetic with regard to the reparations I'm owed? And how difficult is it to comprehend the Constitution? Now, I haven't been furnished about the updates with regard to what I'm supposed to be furnished. Information has been withheld from me. obligations have not been fulfilled. So there's a problem with people snooping and sneaking into my one-bedroom apartment. Breaking and entering is occurring as well. And there's guards that are assisting the racketeers and fraudsters that were polluting the financial systems and the recreational lives of Ireland, UK, and beyond prior to 2018. So this is retaliation. But unfortunately, with regard to the legislation, legalisation, and the progress that I initiated, retaliation is a bit dangerous, especially when you're retaliating against an innocent mother whose land you expect to be profiting from. So it's a dangerous time of the year as well. It's not looking too bright at the moment. It's been quite cloudy and overcast and dull and dark in Tralee, County Kerry. There have been problems. And I live on my own as a peaceful pacifist. And I'm wondering what the professional practitioners that have been failing are doing, thinking they're going to continue with their ignorance with me for when they haven't a shred of position with me. I'm really concerned about their perspective. So the United Nations, would you have a read of the declaration tonight or tomorrow and see if it helps to relate? And in the meantime, heads up to all recovery advocates throughout the worldwide. It's a fabulous fellowship. Very grateful for the Sanity and Sobriety Fellowship. It's absolutely wonderful, especially when tolerating the insanity of people that are despicable in society with their malaise and so on and so forth. So have a read of the declaration, I suppose. United Nations, would you kindly do your job?